2024 is a special year in the history of XYZ Machine Tools. They're celebrating 40 years of being in business. So we thought we'd take the opportunity to catch up with the founder and MD, Nigel Atherton, to find out how the business has changed, how it's grown, and what the future holds for the largest supplier of CNC machine tools in the UK. Well then, Nigel, I've just said in my introduction, XYZ are 40 years old this year, but I want to start the chat by taking you back to 1984 when you were a 22-year-old apprentice-trained engineer who decided to start a business involved in machine tools. What made you start a business at that young age in machine tools?
I did serve an apprenticeship building machine tools, and later in my apprenticeship I started training people how to use CNC and doing demonstrations. And so the company I worked for in Halifax decided CNC had no future. Crazy. Anyway, I moved to Mansfield. The miners' strike was around in 1983-84. The company I went to work for closed, so I had a choice: go back home with my tail between my legs or go looking somewhere else. I wrote to many machine tool companies who didn't even bother to respond to me and really irritated me. And I decided that I'd move to Devon, where a guy had said to me, if you ever want a job, there's one down in Torquay. So that's why I'm down here.
So you've started this business off. When you started, did you have any aspirations where you wanted the business to go? Was it as simple as, I just want to give the likes of Bridgeport a run for the money? Or did you have some plans that you wanted to grow the business as you went along?
Well, I never had desires to be a big machine tool company, that's for sure. And what I did is I ended up rebuilding Bridgeports. And that was, I didn't do much programming training that I thought I'd be doing, and I used my fitting skills to rebuild Bridgeports. And I realised there was money to be made rebuilding and selling used ones. And then I had a brilliant opportunity to buy a new machine, and I brought a new machine in, but still had no desires to become the biggest supplier of machine tools. But we just evolved. One of my things I've always thought of is treat people like you would like to be treated. And I think with that policy, you don't go far wrong.
It looks like it's been a proven plan.
Yeah, I think people respond to being treated properly.
And that also reflects in the fair pricing policy that you have here at XYZ as well.
Yeah, we like to sell to everybody for the same price, whether they're a new company, an existing company, a big company, a small company. Fred in his shed, we sell to everybody at the same price.
So having you started your business off and got it moving, I think the big step change came when you introduced Prototrack to the UK market. So how did you get introduced to Prototrack in the first place?
Well, there was a guy came on our Mac stand in Mac 1990, I think it was Metcut 1990, pestering me to have a look at it, and I fobbed him off the stand. Big mistake. And 2 years later I looked at it, and I thought it was quite expensive, so I dispelled it. And then I discovered that a competitor was bringing in a UK system that was going to be quite similar. So we had a look at it. I told the American guy to come and see me. He brought it over. I said, you've got 1 hour to impress me. And within 10 minutes, I'd seen what a fantastic control that was and how simple it was to program. So I ordered them there and then.
As we say, it's made a monumental change to the way that manufacturers and one-off and small batch make their parts. Were you shocked how machine shops took to the Prototrack control? And I'll say that question because it didn't get off to a flying start, did it?
Well, no, it didn't get off to a flying start, but there was a reason for that. I saw a great system there, absolutely simple beyond belief. And I was impressed in 10 minutes and bought, as I say, I think I ordered 12 of them. And I thought it'd be simple to sell. The problem was that we separated it on the price list by showing a turret mill and the cost of the control. And we didn't sell very many because people dispelled it and didn't want to see it. But as soon as we told customers, we're not telling you how much it is until you know what you're buying, And then we incorporated it so it was a full product with the control and the machine together. In the first 6 months, we sold about 4, and in the following 12 months, we sold 406.
Bit of a change then, bit of a change.
It was when we'd learned how to sell it and present it to the customer.
And how many people had the first one? I asked that because when I've done exhibitions, so many people have come and said, I bought the first Prototrac from Nigel. So how many people did you tell had the first one?
Well, we obviously sold the first one to the first person, and you'll never believe this, we're down in sunny Devon, and the very first one we sold was to Norfrost in Caithness. And I did the training, and I had to go to London, plane to Inverness, plane to Thurso, taxi to Caithness. And I thought, I hope this machine never goes wrong. And then 6 weeks later, they ordered the second machine.
As did a lot of customers, I believe. Ordered the second one pretty quick after.
We didn't sell we didn't sell 406 easily. Yeah. We sold probably 150 easily, and then the rest of them were people buying second, third, and fourth machines.
Now, I joined in 1996, and when I came down to meet you for the first time, I asked you where XYZ were going to move, having had success with Prototrac, where you're going to move into vertical machining centres, turning centres, and you didn't really want to go that way particularly. But not long after joining the company, we did move that way, and those machines were put in the portfolio. What made you change your mind about going into that particular market?
Well, we had one model that today is called the RMX 3500. In that day, the iron was called the DPM, and we were selling 12 a month. You could bank on it, 12 per month. And then somebody introduced the £30,000 VMC. And so now customers said, oh, we're thinking about a VMC because it's similar money to your machine with a tool changer. So we lost some sales, so I went to Taiwan and bought a £30,000 machining centre, and we could now offer the machining centre and the DPM, and we could say genuinely, because you're making one-offs and low volume, you're far better off with the Prototrac. And our sales went back up to 11, 12 a month, and we started selling a few VMCs.
And so over the years, the portfolio has grown of products that you sell. What makes you decide on which products that you're going to sell from XYZ? Is it a scientific method, or do you use some other method?
We're very scientific. It's all about what customers are telling us they want. If they tell us they want a VMC and they really need one, that's why we moved into that market. When customers tell us they want bigger machines, we move into bigger machines. Nowadays, people are telling us they want 5-axis, they want twin spindle lathes, and so we've evolved, absolutely evolved all the way through, depending on what the customers required.
And you've just mentioned there that you went to Taiwan to look at a machine, and you have a great relationship with the machine tool builder in Taiwan, King Rich. How did that relationship actually start?
Wow, that's a good one. Machinery Classified used to have the name of every machine tool distributor in the UK in the back pages, and they, before email, they sent a pretty picture of a turret mill through to every dealer in the UK, and we were in there advertising machine rebuild, and they sent me a pretty picture. I went and got a telex off to them, £10 for an A4 telex in 1984, 85. And they told me how much they were. I couldn't afford to go to see them, so I bought 2 blind and thought I'd be rebuilding them when they arrived. And when they arrived, they were absolutely fantastic.
Wow!
And we've developed with them. They've built their company now, and they've got very few customers. We take about 70% of the build, and we've got a great relationship. I've been to the weddings of the kids, and still friendly with the whole family. So
all the machines in our portfolio, have you got a favourite that you think this is the best machine we've ever sold?
I just think that the RMX 3500 and the RLX 425 are a brilliant mill and a brilliant lathe, and every company in the UK must get one-off turning jobs or one-off milling jobs where that'd suit them. So I've always enjoyed putting that forward to customers.
And obviously you need to get exposure for these products, and I might be wrong here, but I believe XYZ are the only company with as many showrooms as there are around the UK. What was your driver for establishing showrooms all around the country?
We're down in Devon, and I told you originally I came here because I liked the idea of living in Torquay as a 22-year-old. But I know that's not where the business is. So more or less within a few years of starting, we opened a showroom in Nuneaton in the Midlands. And I think that nowadays, the reason we've got them all over the UK is that people don't really want to travel more than a couple of hours. So if they can spend 2 hours, drive to a showroom, see a machine or machines and have demonstrations for a couple of hours and drive back, they've had a nice short day, and they can even knock off early on the way home.
And a few years back, Southwestern Industries, who make the Prototrac, took a bit more of an interest in XYZ, and then eventually you had it back again. What actually happened there? Was it something that helped the business grow?
Well, I'm personal friends with the owner of Prototrac in America. I consider him a good friend more than a business colleague. But I was away with Rich one day and he said to me, you know, what do you want in the future? And I said, I'd like money instead of cast iron and property. And so he bought the business lock, stock and barrel. And then in 2016, I was 55 and didn't feel as though I was ready for retirement. And Rich wanted to sell the company to an American, and I decided to buy XYZ back.
So overall, over the 40 years, have you been surprised at the success of XYZ and the products that we sell?
Of course I have. If I look back at sat here as a 22-year-old, I could never imagine I'd be sat in a 100,000 square foot building employing 90 people and considering ourselves to be one of the biggest sellers in the UK of CNC. So yeah, it's amazed me, but it's been a lot of hard work, I'll tell you.
Well, that leads, as I know, yeah, and that leads me to another question. I would imagine being an MD of a business this size, etc., is quite hard work. But if you could have any role within XYZ, what would you really like to do within the business?
The most fulfilling part of working in a job like this, if you had my current salary, would be to be a training guy, because you go into a course and you're teaching somebody how to use the control, and at that point in time they know very little about it, and you come away from it feeling as though you've really created value for them, you've taught them something. Perhaps it's a good job being a teacher, apart from I'd never want to teach kids. But yeah, I think that is. And I also enjoyed my time on the road as a salesman.
So 40 years is an awfully long time, Nigel, and we all know our business is cyclic. It goes up and down, and there's other influences as well. So over the 40 years, what's been your proudest part of being involved in XYZ, but also what's been the lowest point?
Well, the proudest moments are really, I should have been a builder. When we've built our factories and expanded them, I've enjoyed watching them go up and felt very proud of what we're achieving. The lowest points are things that are out of your control, like Brexit and the financial crisis and COVID, and all them things that you can't help, but you've still got to manage through. You can't just do anything. You've got to really think about it and move forward in a positive way.
Having got to that position of being the largest supplier of CNC machine tools in the UK, 40 years old, what does the future hold for XYZ, and also what does the future hold for Nigel Atherton?
The future for XYZ is we're just going to continue to evolve. But you're right, what's the future of Nigel Atherton? I'm 62 years old now, and you know, I'm getting older, but I've got every intention of being around for a number of years yet.
Well, that's a really nice thing to hear, and I'm sure many people in the industry would like to hear that as well. So Nigel, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, and I hope people understand a little bit more about the business having watched this interview.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. You did a good job there.